Michael Camland, welcome to Bad Points. And you're the person that showed me this podcasting software. And although I can't give you credit for showing me how to do a podcast, you are one of 100 sources and you did basically give me my tutorial for Riverside, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's been a blast. You've come on the show a couple of times, and it's some of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, man. When I've always been the type where I just want to be on a podcast.
Yeah,
Whatever y'all want to talk about, I want to talk about that. And that's kind of strange because I'm not very social. I don't go to parties. When I'm at a restaurant, I smile and I nod. I'm not unpleasant, but I'm not looking for, the guy sitting at the next table with the Cowboys. The Cowboys is on in a restaurant and he's like, man, that was a good catch, wasn't it? We need to trade him. I'm not looking to make a friend. Like it's
yeah,
it's nothing against it. I don't know the person. I didn't go to the restaurant for a bunch of podcast talk, right?
right.
I want to go on podcasts because that's really my chance to speak. And I spend so much time acquiring information and trying to learn things. And it's nice to be able to get on a podcast and talk about it, not just because it's enjoyable, but because the only way for something to really sink in is to talk about it, ask questions about it, be questioned about it. And I think that's extremely helpful, like in an educational sense.
Absolutely. That's why I got into it originally too. Um, eh, Part of it was like, hey, this would be fun. The other part of it was like, we need to document this time and uh, figure out how we can communicate with each other because it's getting more and more fractured.
And I guess what I was describing is the definition of an outlet.
Yeah,
It's an outlet. We both use music as an outlet, but I don't always write a song to get a message out. Oftentimes I'm just writing a fun song, a good story, a cool hook, and some nifty lyrics. I don't really use my music very often. Although my next album I'll have some messages, but I typically don't do outright messaging. I'll do some. Every song has like hidden messaging, subliminal implications because I like to highlight the emotion of situations, not so much tell the story about what's happening. But yeah, podcasts are an outlet, an educational tool, and they're fun. I enjoy them. I thoroughly enjoy them.
yeah, same here. And I've really enjoyed each of the episodes you put out. I basically mainlined the show today and was really
Awesome.
impressed. It's been really good.
Man, I appreciate that. Um, Another thing, I don't know if you've encountered this problem, and it seems like a problem that kind of goes away like a snowball goes downhill, picking up steam, picking up size. But the problem is initially you don't really have guests. Like you don't have guests. You got to ask a friend, like, "Hey, do you want to be on a pod?" Like, I mean, I still can't find podcasts, so I asked you, a buddy, right? You're not a
Yeah,
physicist,
yeah,
you're not a celebrity, but I'm
yeah,
like, I would like to talk to him, and he would probably do it. That was my criteria, and now. Uh, there's people are more willing to be on the podcast because they've seen it, they know it's real.
yeah,
Anyone who may have thought it was going to be crazy, they're seeing that it how it is.
yeah.
Um, so I think that problem really starts to go away, and then I've already seen this happen, and then. And if you can cut me off, I am a snowball rolling downhill right now, but I had this problem of not being able to find guests. And then I thought to myself, oh, I need to clip episodes and put it on every platform and, try to do it the right way. Don't just, I would like for more people to hear about it. I would like for more bigger guest options, stuff like that. And you'll never get that if you don't put in some base level effort. So I just started putting in the base level effort. And even with the AI tools, which cuts editing time down from like 6 hours to 6 minutes almost, it's incredible.
Sales
Even
pitch for Riverside. Feel free to sponsor.
yeah, oh yeah, but for sure,
Yeah.
Riverside, y'all got me into podcasting, you're the technology that enabled me. But now I'm having the problem where, and of course I'll work, I make money doing physical therapy, but all of this empty space I had where I would just listen to a podcast, read a book, whatever, waste time. Not that those are wasting time, but um,
Well, it depends on the book.
yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah,
I've wasted lots of time with books, but also, what's a waste of time if you got something out of it? But
sure.
I am now having the problem where I don't even know if it's a problem, but all that empty time that I do enjoy, I love leisure.
You got to decompress sometimes too.
Yeah, you have to decompress sometimes, but the problem is now I'm even with the editing tools, I'll get home and there's a couple of hours of podcast stuff I need to do. I first framed this as a problem, but as I talk it out, I was kind of looking for something to fill those empty spaces, and this is not only a good way to do that, but it builds equity. It builds equity in the podcast.
I mean, it's a great way to promote your brand, promote your music, get the messages that are important to you out there. And I mean, I loved it because it was just so grassroots.
Yeah,
I felt like I came in, in the great podcast boom of 2020.
yeah,
Everybody was stuck in their homes. It's like, well, even though we were on Zoom calls all day, let's get on and actually talk about stuff we care about. So,
yeah. There's
yeah,
there's a natural pull towards podcasting in 2020,
yeah,
and not just because people had time and they were on their computer anyway doing video chats and stuff, but
yeah.
that was the time when Rogan really exploded.
Yes.
He was already big,
Yeah.
but he was more big in the I don't know, people that were grandfathered in with Rogan, that
Yeah.
people in their 30s and whatnot. But he was very courageous during COVID when the government
100%.
government was spending a lot of money and breaking constitutional laws to punish people who couldn't be silenced easily. They were threatening them. They were trying to get Spotify to take its product off. They were
Neil
doing
Young, of all people, was trying to get him off Spotify.
yeah. Uh, I mean,
Does
just
Neil Young even know how to listen to a podcast? Like, come
no,
on,
and that
man.
that's the problem. People like and Rogan's talked about it. Neil Young and people like him, they're just old. They only watch Fox or CNN. They don't know it, and which we know very well now are simply propaganda networks.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah, yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we I can't speak for everybody, but
You can speak for everybody. Go ahead.
yeah, it's my podcast,
Let's
right?
spread
Um,
planet Earth.
yeah, but Neil Young had no idea he was watching propaganda. He literally thought that was the news, and subconsciously, you get the vibe of the news. Like that's most of the propaganda isn't what they're saying; it's their demeanor while they're saying it.
Absolutely.
When they're like, another, it looks like Trump's gonna win. God, like
Right.
you don't even have to say anything.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, the nation's so sad, and it's something you watch every day, sometimes all day, because you're old, you're retired,
Yeah.
um, and that is the world to you. That's the
Yeah.
whole world, and you don't want to be the one person who. And plus, if you're an old conservative, you picked Fox, so you won't ever feel like the one person who thinks differently. And Neil Young picked CNN, and so he's like, man, me and the whole world, the whole nation, because this is the news we watch. The whole nation thinks like me. And it makes you so confident in your beliefs and your views because you think everyone agrees with you.
Yeah.
Because you've been watching propaganda that puts you in a little box where everyone's a Democrat or everyone's a Republican.
Or should be.
And you've never
Right.
even seen it. Yeah, or should be. Like the ones that don't.
If the world
Uh,
was like how I think it would be, then it would be perfect. You
that's
create
what
this new utopia situation that's just not real.
Yeah, they gave them 2 world options, a left-leaning world and a right-leaning world, and they just picked. And then they were in the matrix of propaganda created for them, and they lived for decades like that. Some of them did.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen both sides of it. My parents are pretty liberal, so obviously they were on CNN, MSNBC, and then my in-laws are much more conservative, and that's Fox News all day long. And both times I'm just like, man, just turn this off. Like it's just making you angry.
Yeah, and I think
Or
that's a
limit your
good point.
dosage.
Yeah, yeah, put yourself on a timer, like, watch one segment. But honestly, I think I would love to do an experiment where I took an elderly hardcore Democrat or hardcore Republican and let them watch the other channel for a while, and they'd be so mad, and they'd be trashing, "Oh, this is the network," of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They'd be so mad. But I would want them to watch it as part of the experiment for several hours, just so it can really sink in. And then I want to tell them, "Do you understand that at least half the country thinks like this or more hardcore than this about these views?"
Well, I
And I
was
want
patient
them
zero for that, Seth, because that was pretty much my story. Like I was very, very
okay.
liberal for a long time. I mean, I was a musician. That was my default. It's like, oh yeah, of course. We gotta have free healthcare. We gotta have all you know, oh my God, the climate. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think I watched whatever it's called, The Social Experiment. It was the one about like it was a Netflix documentary about social media and the ills of that. But what struck me is one of the people they talked to, of course, was like a super leftist, purple hair, the whole bit. But what she said was really so simple but meaningful. She was just like, I follow people that I disagree with. I make sure I do.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, yeah. um, and I started listening to
It's not a
conservative
natural
podcasts.
concept because why would you do that? Like, with just at the surface level. Like, man, that guy's a jerk. He believes everything I don't believe. He says antagonistic things. So it would make sense that that wouldn't come to mind. So that's actually a pretty profound thing for her to come up with that idea in her head.
Yeah, and she was way more, you know, in that than I was even. That really affected me, and I did like a straight, year and a half just listening to different conservative podcasters, media, and I had the typical reaction. I came away like, I agree with a lot of what they're saying,
Wow.
and
Well, how did you were raised Christian?
yeah, yeah. I went
Okay,
to
so
Catholic school.
you have the moral compass. You know right from wrong. You have objective morality.
Yeah, I had the moral compass, and I immediately threw it away.
Yeah.
um,
Well, that's kinda what I was gonna ask about when you got
yeah,
into the music scene, 'cause I was
prodigal son, 100%.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I understand the getting into it and kinda rebelling. That's the rock, right?
Yeah.
But I was in left-leaning music scenes, and I didn't look at anything like Left and Right at the time.
Yeah, I mean, back then it wasn't like you didn't have to talk about it.
Yeah,
There
because
was
the extremes weren't that's extreme.
it some people may have mentioned something, but I could count on like one hand how many times like politics really came up like during sound check or just hanging out in the back. Like it just wasn't I don't I remember back when like politics was like considered boring, you know?
Yeah, well, disagreements were just more cordial.
They were.
But now disagreements are life and death. We're talking
Yeah.
about possibly prison camps,
Yeah.
whatever they say. Or I get our side, we're talking about possible communism. We're close to it, and their side was like, we're about to be put in prison camps for being homosexual.
Right.
They're about to put black people in camp. These are white nationalists. This is Hitler.
Which they know deep down is ridiculous. Like, come on.
I
I
mean,
I don't
I think some of them are so lost
yeah.
that they don't even know deep down.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That is the problem and this is another problem. So we actually for for the past, let's just say since 2020, because that's when everything really got amplified, intentionally.
It was a wonderful year. I got married. Truly.
Yeah, hey,
Yeah.
you made something out of it.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad for me as a medical field worker who was
I'm
stand.
being half sarcastic too. I really did get married, and that part was
Well,
great.
you
But no,
still
for
had to go
everybody
through
else, was
everything.
I can't
You
even
went through
imagine
what
being
we
in the
went through.
medical field.
Yeah.
Jesus, yeah,
Well, that was. I mean, I'm not saying it was a bad year. I still lived my life, but
it
I
was
don't
pretty
want to be. It
bad.
was bad. I don't want to be a complainer, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was real rough being an East Texas Christian grandson boy in Dallas, Texas, in the medical field during COVID. It was bad because I did not know nearly as much about communism or Marxism at that time. That's what prompted me to go on this journey. Um, but it was a very heavily affected DEI, not just the affirmative action portion of it. That seemed like it was happening, but it's Dallas medical field, so who knows? It probably wasn't.
I mean, one of my bosses, like, had to send us a thing where it's like, hey, you need to read White Fragility, How to Be an Anti-Racist,
Yeah, straight up
1619
Marxist
Project.
propaganda.
If you are not, if you're not snorting this stuff, then, look for another job, basically.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what was happening at the hospital, and I had some yelling matches in the HR office.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and that's not my personality. I'm pretty non-confrontational. I'm the gentle giant, 6'4", 235. Don't even want to yell at each other, dude. Much
Yeah.
less fight you. Like, you
Hey,
know?
like, we're just trying to help some sick people. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I did it. It was against my nature, but it was for my principles. Like it was, I was standing up for what I thought was right. I was listening to, and still do, Andy Frisella. You familiar with him?
mm-mm,
You can go ahead and trust me. It's pretty bro. I mean, they're bro, but he ain't what he's saying. He's a watermelon. He looks like it's gonna be one thing, and then you cut it open, it's completely different. He is a
cool.
great person. He's a great leader. But listen to Real AF.
Okay.
I would bet
I think you recommended that to me.
I would
I'll
bet
put that.
a lot of money actually.
Okay.
Maybe all my money that you'll become a regular listener.
Okay.
He talks about being a man, accountability, it talks about communism all the time. He predicted pretty much everything from 2020. He was telling us everything. He's like, y'all better not wear those masks. Do
Yeah.
not do what they say. This is a communist takeover. He was 100% correct. We had three communists making the decisions while the president was brain dead. Uh, but what I was saying earlier, before I off tracked myself,
Well, he was eating ice cream, to be
yeah,
accurate. You know,
yeah, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't go into a coma eating ice cream? But so another problem we're going to face in trying to get people out of this communist matrix, which I believe is going to happen slowly because we've shifted very far right. We're done with it. When Charlie Kirk died, we're done with it. Um, we can go over
yeah,
that in a minute too. But
that was rough.
a problem that we're going to encounter is that, like I said, they thought we're about to have a Nazi regime, literally Hitler. We thought there's about to be communist takeover. We were actually right. We were right. Now, both of those things are authoritarianism.
Mhm.
So we were both right about that. We were both knew authoritarianism could happen. We're right. But the culture was completely communist. We have literal communists in the government. They've already had That's what was going to it was happening. Like I said, it happened. We had communists running the country illegally, which is what they do. Um, but we're going to have to convince the other side that I hate talking like this because it sounds like a Marxist trying to give you the Watt fragility book, but we have to educate them on what culture is, what was happening at that time, and that the authoritarians coming up were that.
I
Like,
mean, 9 out of 10 people are not gonna know about Mao, about the Red Guard, or anything like that.
yeah,
I mean, it's a long conversation.
yeah,
They're
and I don't
probably
know half of what I want to know.
yeah,
I'm still learning.
or the gulags in
Secret
Russia,
police,
all of that
the
stuff.
famine.
They think it could never happen here. And the funny thing is, I mean, you talk to like your average liberal, they're like, well, The Americans is like one of my favorite TV shows of all time. I'm like, well, you know, it's
I
about
never saw
Russian
it.
spies,
That's
communists.
about Russian spies.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, there's also the problem where you've got people saying there's always going to be believers in communism.
Sure.
The idea of it.
Oh yeah.
Always
And
going to say, yeah, we could just all have the same money and give the money to the government and they manage it. That's always going to happen. We can't get
which
rid
is
of it.
Looney Tunes. Like I can't
It's
even I
ridiculous.
don't understand how anyone takes it serious. Like Marx was a complete joke. His own father, bankrolled his thing. He literally was that guy just sitting there writing all that stuff.
Yeah, and
I
he was not an impressive man. He was a
I'm not
rough
charitable to
and
Marx. He's
abuser.
he's an evil philosopher. I'll just say it. I don't care.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got the, but
He's envious. That's
yeah.
the
Well,
root of it.
that's what Dan Wiggins talked about on the last podcast I had with him. He talked about the left. What it really all boils down to is envy.
Yeah.
It's in we no no no. We need to. I need what you earned.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. It's all rooted in envy. And so, what would the if you can sum the left up in one word, envy? What would you sum up the right with?
Um,
Order.
depends on who we're talking about. I would say, um, want
I'm
to say
gonna
authentic
let me ask
or
AI as well, or like realistic,
or
maybe.
what's realistic? Yeah, that's a good one. I'm trying to think of like a nice hardworking adjective. I don't know. I mean, when I think of the right, I think of like having decorum. Like uh, I
Like
one
what?
thing I
Like
noticed
order?
when I was a liberal is I'd be like, hey, when I'm hanging out with so-called conservatives, they seem a lot more nice and gracious, other than
Yeah,
these like
but
liberal friends I have that flake out all the time.
there are far right cultures that they have a caste system. Like
Sure,
they treat people like subhuman.
sure, and
Okay, here's
I've
what
never encountered that per se.
I mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's different culture. That's different times and history and whatnot. But they were the political right. Um, so I asked ChatGPT if the political right could be summed up with one word. What would it be? It said
Did it say
tradition.
fascist? What
It
did it
said
say?
tradition.
Oh, well, yeah.
Let me
Well,
read the next
traditional.
part.
Yeah.
The right, broadly speaking, emphasizes preserving established social, cultural, religious, and economic structures. Where the political left often focuses on change and reform, the right tends to emphasize continuity, stability, and inherent values.
Yep.
That really makes sense. Other
Yeah.
words could be,
Chesterton's fence, man. Got to ask why it's there before you take it down.
yeah. And I've tried to come up with this answer a few days ago, and I called the left chaos and the right order. But envy, it really does encompass them better. Um, but one alternative it said was order, and that's what I came up with. I thought order, like we must establish order. Like I think the right is always associated with punishing crime, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the left lets the criminals go, and they sow chaos, and the ideology that gets them there is an oppressor versus oppressed, and you'll always side with the oppressed. So if you say black people are oppressed, we're going to get them out of prison because they're oppressed, and we can't have this. So I think the right tradition does make sense because that's part of tradition too. Like we are traditionally orderly. We traditionally have prisons, and we do this with violent criminals. That's tradition. So envy versus tradition.
Yeah. I also care about families
But
and
you know what?
belief.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, that all kind of goes back to God.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking the other day when I came up with the order. I was also thinking, you know, for much of human history, the right has believed in God. Even the Islamist right believe in God. The Christian right believe in God. And God is order. God is order. He created order, and the Bible tells you how he created. Like man is above woman. at the end of the day because we can beat them in a fight. We have the power. We inherently have power over them. We have the testosterone. We have the aggression. We're that's order. Like everything is order. The family unit is order. A mother to teach the feminine side, a father to teach the masculine side. You your kids obey you. All of the concepts of God are order.
It's so perfect and brilliant. I mean, that's why it seems so, eh, eh, I can see why somebody becomes skeptical. It's like, "Man, this works too well."
But listen,
But,
I don't
God made
know.
it. So,
But wouldn't you be a
good.
skeptic? Wouldn't you be less skeptical because it works so well?
You would think. I mean,
Like how
I
this was not an accident
right.
from an explosion and a slow everything's too ordered and too perfect.
Have kids. It will, if that doesn't push you to at least, like, the furthest agnostic you can be. I mean, I believe in God. I was raised Catholic, but, like, having my daughter, it just blew me away. Like, I was like, "Okay, it's I don't need anything else." Like, that's
Put everything into perspective.
yeah.
Everything. You know Dave Smith, right?
The comedian?
Libertarian comedian.
Yeah. Yeah, he said the
Yeah.
same he said something similar recently. I saw that.
Yeah, he said he didn't he knew about God. He studied religion and stuff.
'Cause he's Jewish, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
ethnically,
I think okay.
but non-religious.
Alright, okay.
And
He's a comedian, of course. Yeah.
yeah, of course,
Yeah.
secular. Um, but he said that when his baby had an emergency and was going to die unless they performed surgery, just
Mm.
born. And he was like, "Okay." And of course, he already was in love with this child. Like he's a great person. You know, he felt the same way you felt. And so he was just praying the entire doesn't believe in God, but he's like, "Okay, in my most desperate hour for the thing I want more than anything I've ever wanted, a wanting that I did not know is possible.
Wow.
I will die to take this baby's place."
Yep.
I'm putting some words in his mouth. I'm just kind of painting the picture of how he felt. Um, but he said he prayed and he told God, he said, if you can save my baby, I will be yours.
Wow.
And he said, then the surgery happened, the baby is okay. And he said, I have believed in God ever since and I'll never stop.
Yeah. I
That's powerful, man. And that's, that wouldn't have happened if you wouldn't have had a kid too, you know, in addition to the natural perspective that having a kid gives you.
and that therein is why the communists target the family. That's their main, "We gotta get rid of the nuclear family." It's too strong. We don't
Well,
have
it does
anything.
multiple things. It destroys the natural order at the most at the most important level in a society. Most important thing in a society is strong families. And if they take down the strong families, okay, now we can work on the rest.
Yeah, it's easy,
But
sadly.
they've got to get through our plate of armor before they can get in there and just start cutting us up and poking us and prodding us and burning us. And we got a thick coat of armor, and it's a strong family unit. And you cannot have a stronger family unit than a Christian family.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe Muslim. I don't know enough about Islam. I mean, I mean, okay, I know enough. I know the bad parts of their teachings. So yeah, I can definitely say that you don't get stronger than a Christian family. I'm talking about like love and cheering for each other, sacrificing for each other. That's the whole religion. That's all Jesus said. It's all self-sacrifice for the
Yeah.
good of those you love.
Yeah, it's wild, like, how, yeah, that self-sacrifice, you're so happy to do it. Um, 'cause I fell into that trap. I was, for a long time, I didn't want kids, and, you know, I was that cliche person, like, just sitting there watching the same stupid shows, just wasting time and wondering, why I wasn't happy. Um, you get married and have kids, all of a sudden, it boosts your confidence. You, uh, it boosts your perspective. I mean, You know, even just walking down the street, I take a lot of walks with my daughter, and like, you know, I'm walking down the street, people are like, "The hell's wrong with this guy?" But when you have your the daughter, it's like beaming smiles, you know? I mean, it's such a unifier. It just does not get any better.
The the thing is, when you're living alone, you don't have a kid, um, you're single. I mean, it really doesn't matter if you have a girlfriend or not. You have
Yeah,
no purpose.
it's
You
a
have no.
nihilism, you know,
It's
of its
not. Yeah,
own.
that's the word I was searching for. It's nihilistic, and all you're chasing is ways to make you feel good right now.
Yeah.
You're not worried about saving money for your kids. You're not worried about building something. You're not thinking too far ahead because you're looking to have fun all the time right now. And at some point, as people get older, I think they start to realize this is getting really stale. I keep doing new fun things and then I'm right back to like I have no purpose. I have no purpose. I'm not going to extend beyond my own life through children or anything like that. Um, and man, it makes a lot of people really selfish. I know people in their mid to late 30s who don't have kids, and they're nice people, they're good people, but they're selfish by default.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they be? Their whole life has been about, we just want to have fun. We want to
Yep.
be happy. You're not sacrificing for you're not going through all you have to go through to rear a child. So it's a natural occurrence. You'll become having a kid makes you far less selfish. Now that doesn't mean you're gonna be charitable to strangers, but you will definitely sacrifice whatever you have to sacrifice for someone else, and it's your child, and that changes you.
Absolutely. I mean, Matt Walsh had that point. You know, that was really struck me a few years ago. He said, you know, you have few chances as a man to become something more. One is getting married. The next is becoming a father. And that just really, really, you know, got to me.
That's a that's a pretty good statement. Another thing that I also noticed is that as I was like you in high school, I had no plans on ever having a child. Was not interested. I just wanted to do my stuff.
Well, at least you went. I dropped out.
Oh well, I may as
Yeah.
well have dropped out. I didn't learn anything hardly
Right.
there. Did all my learning in junior high, it seems.
Yeah. I went all in on the music thing, man. And fortunately, it didn't work out.
Yeah, but you're doing fine.
Yeah.
Like you didn't. It seems like you didn't suffer from dropping out of high school because even if you finished high school, uh, you could be making less money than you are now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could be less happy overall. Um, but as I didn't want to have a kid, and I got my girlfriend pregnant, so I was going to have a kid. And then our thought was, well, we're just gonna have one kid. We didn't want to have any kids, so why don't we have more kids?
Right.
And it wasn't even a consideration. And then as we got older and started learning more about how real the literal realness of God and the implications of that,
Right.
that's a realization I've had over the past couple of years. Once you realize that, you start thinking to yourself, well, we should have had 6 kids.
Yeah.
That's the whole point,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, I think that when that happens to someone, when they live, let's just say they turn 45 and they have 0 kids, and they come to that big realization, oh my God, I was supposed to have kids. That's why I feel the way I feel. And let's just say they're a Christian, right? And they understand all that. They can do a lot of good things that someone with a family can't do.
Sure. I mean, there are different callings too, and some people just can't too, you know, and then, and you can be a good, role model or uncle. Um, of it's a different calling. I don't wanna minimize that. There is a tendency. Sometimes I do know people that do that, but maybe it, it's still not the same as your as being a parent. Sometimes they do over uh, sell their that, but I don't want to take away uh, the roles from just being a part of a family too.
Yeah, and I was actually gonna go a slightly different way with it and say that, you don't have the heavy responsibility of 4 kids and a spouse, um, but you can absolutely pour yourself into the community to
Yeah,
build something, like
definitely.
Charlie Kirk built, um, Turning Point USA,
Yeah,
and well, he built Turning Point, it's international, and, like, if he y you don't have to have a family to do that. In fact, you theoretically could be more, what's the word? Productive.
yeah. I wish I'd had that kind of confidence at 18.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Good lord.
Now he was more special than I can articulate.
Yeah,
He really was, because not only was he the poster child for what a Christian American male is supposed to be, all of them, the black, white, Hispanic, that he was the poster child of what a American Christian male is supposed to be.
yeah,
He was a constitutionalist. He put God above all else. He was perfect at that, and that alone makes him special. And his intellect, extremely intelligent. It was like chatting with AI
yeah,
when people would debate him. He was so sharp. But what really made it special in a more mystical way, a God way, is that he was doing all this in America's darkest hours.
yeah,
I mean, the communist takeover was so close, and young people had no idea how they were supposed to be. No one was doing that. Uh, they had conservatives that they couldn't relate to, like an 18-year-old kid didn't really care. Well, at the time, didn't really care about Matt Walsh. Now, 18-year-olds are probably sucking it up, but they had no one to show them the alternative to the leftism. And a lot of them were raised Christian, but they everywhere they looked, they saw no Jesus. They saw none of their morals anywhere, so they were lost.
yeah,
And Charlie Kirk was the perfect person, and I mean perfect literally, at the perfect time. He was truly special, and that is a lot of people are realizing that now. And a lot of people that didn't know anything about him are watching his videos. I bet you there are tens of thousands of people who never saw more than a clip as they were scrolling, never saw a Charlie Kirk video, just knew he was some guy that keeps popping up on the algorithm every now and then. And after he got killed, they started watching his videos. And he
yeah,
has probably already posthumously converted thousands of leftists. At least put them on the path. And once you get on that path, once you've seen the left, the way we've seen the left, and then you start seeing the alternative, it's really easy to head in that direction.
yeah. I mean, it was ingenious. It's funny. I listened to like a leftist podcast talking about Charlie Kirk, and it was funny to hear them kind of say like, "Oh, well, the left doesn't even bother to do what he was doing on universities. That was such an ingenious thing." I'm like, "Well, they own the university. They're all the teachers. They're the
Sure, it's
staff.
their
They're
thing.
everything else." So yeah, they probably don't need to sit there and like field questions all day long. But he had that, God-given ability to just talk to. We're seeing little clips here and there. He was probably there all day long. I mean, this is like Sermon on the Mount type stuff, like sitting there fielding each of these and respectfully, I've never saw a clip of him where it felt like a gotcha moment. Um,
He
it,
would
it
do it
was
playfully,
yeah,
but he was no, I don't, he was never mean spirited.
it was always heart in the right place.
He would match their energy at times because that's how
Certainly.
you communicate
Well,
effectively.
yeah, I mean, when they were rude, he would be stern.
He would just throw it right back at them. He wasn't trying to own the he never tried to own the libs. Now
Yeah.
he had so he has so much content on the internet, like thousands and thousands of hours. I'm sure you could put together, and it will happen, um, put together a montage of him owning the libs a little bit, and that will be used as propaganda to make him look like Nick
Well, sometimes
Fuentes.
they deserve to be owned too. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's
at the end of the
yeah,
day, he wasn't wrong,
yeah.
but the left will use those montages as propaganda to turn him into a bigot and say that's what we're up against here, and that's
It's
gonna
all
happen.
they have. I mean,
All they have is lies and
yeah,
misrepresentations. How could you think that? How could you think that that side's the good guys unless you know nothing about Christianity?
yeah.
Seriously, have you ever
Well,
thought
when
about that? Like,
yeah,
if you don't know any alternative and everyone lies and deceives because, well, that's what he gets. Well, we can't let him win. They don't know any objective morality. All they know is that world. So they don't feel bad about lying, right?
yeah. I mean, when you're, I guess most stable family that you know of is the Kardashians.
Yeah,
You
that's
know, we're
their
starting from a strong
yeah, and I
place.
don't know much about the show, but I'm assuming they're constantly manipulating each other.
You know, I am a little sarcastic. I've been forced to watch a lot of that show over the years, and I will say, at least on camera, um, they do appear like a family. It's one of those things
Really?
where like the power of family transcends
Yeah.
celebrity. You know,
So they at
they
least
do,
teach people the value of family.
yeah. And I mean, that's still something, you
Yeah.
know.
But, you also have to look at it as that was their vehicle to spread Marxism.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, but they're also like, you know, at Paris fashion shows and things like that, where it's
Yeah,
just
and
like
when
total,
you're distributing propaganda, you need propaganda for people who watch family shows. And they just happen to become some of the best propaganda the left has had
yeah,
ever.
yeah.
I was gonna ask you, I wrote down a couple questions. Told we said we're probably not gonna get to them, all of them, but did the so we know how it was growing up post Obama. Um, I guess we were grown, but living life through post Obama, we knew what happened when you would talk about God or share your faith openly. Did you catch yourself often, if you can just kind of think back to moments, did you catch yourself often trying to essentially hide the fact that you were a Christian?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It basically became this, yeah, like a stigma
There's like
or
an
like a,
implication that you don't talk about.
yeah. I mean, and that was kind of, and like you said, back then, people were a little more cordial. It was, you weren't supposed to talk about politics, religion, you know, those were the taboo kind of things. But at some point, it started to become like, oh, no, we can talk about religion, but we need to make fun of the Christians. You know,
Yeah,
the exact moment that happened, I don't know. I would, the most public way, you know, moment you can point to would be probably the new atheist movement. When you had Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, that was kind of like Sam Harris. I respect Sam Harris. I do. You know, I listen to a lot of his stuff, and he is another one where it's like he's very family oriented, you know, kind of hilariously, but he's also been at churches, you know, saying God isn't real.
yeah,
But but he is somebody that cares about uh, the excesses of the left. So he's an interesting case, but that to me was kind of like that sort of post 9/11 reactionary, leftist reactionary was sort of like when it started to be like, yeah, like I probably shouldn't say I'm Catholic. Uh, it might lead to some discomfort or I and it's weird with I mean even with like other denominations, being a Catholic or a Christian can be weird because I dated someone who was a Baptist and basically was told that being Catholic meant like, oh, you're damning my daughter to hell.
Yeah,
Like
basically
just
what that would
straight up.
mean.
I mean,
Yeah,
we were like having dinner and they're like, well, you know, you all are going to hell, right? And I was like joking around. I was like, oh,
that's pretty forward.
so that, yeah, that was a weird night.
Well, if anyone ever asked me if I was a Christian, I'd be like, yeah, like I wouldn't feel weird about it. That at no point I never hit it um, intentionally, but I
I
never,
wouldn't bring it up just
yeah,
out of nowhere.
I'm almost never brought it up.
Yeah.
Um,
Or I wouldn't wear, a visual
yeah,
representation of it. When I was a kid, I had a cross that I was wearing, you know?
yeah. When I was a kid, and it was a very different time, but when I was a kid, I had some Christian stuff, clothing and whatnot, and I just stopped getting it, stopped wearing it, and I'm sure that had to
Because it
do.
wasn't cool, you know?
Yeah, and I'm a person who never cared about cool,
Yeah.
so I guess I just kind of figured out, well, no one wants to see that, you know.
Yeah.
Whenever someone, I always had a pride somehow because whenever I would hear someone else openly be a Christian, I would start supporting them. I'd send them messages like, "Hey man, that's awesome that you're a Christian." Like I would always do that, but I would never do it I would never push it on anyone because we're kind of trained, like you said, don't talk religion, don't push your religion. And of course, they also twisted a lot of the word, like don't judge me. It's like, and so you try not to judge people, and yeah, you're not supposed to judge people, but we are supposed to have preferences and pattern recognition. You know, I'm I'm not going to, when it says don't judge, I interpret that as don't don't treat people differently because of what they are. Like the easiest one is black and white people. Um, don't judge that person just because they're black.
Yeah,
Don't
and
like you judge someone by their fruits. And when we would judge people by their fruits, they would say, "Don't judge me." I'm like, "No, you did something. Like it's you did. I'm not judging you, your soul. Um, you know, I'm judging you based on what you did. I
right.
don't think that's what don't judge. I think don't judge means don't make assumptions. Like let them. It kind of goes back to meritocracy.
Yeah,
I mean, does that?
absolutely.
I haven't really. I'm thinking about it as I talk, but does that make sense to you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, meritocracy is great. It's foundational to a healthy civilization. Um, eh, that is gets tied up into the American ideal where like you come to this country to get a shot to create value. Not it's not guaranteed. You have to earn it. And that's it. That's essentially the American ideal if you distill it to its, essence to me at least.
Yeah, and I think that with it, they like I said, they twisted judgment. They twist. They try to twist, turn the other cheek all the time.
For sure.
Like you're
Yeah.
not supposed to ever defend yourself or your integrity or your family. Um,
And they do it in such a cartoonish way. It really surprises me that people take it seriously.
yeah, but
Like,
you know, like we're talking about back in the time, everyone did it.
mhm,
We were living in a communist matrix and didn't know yet. And it was incubating. It was small, but the ideology was in there. It's like that. What's his name? Yuri Beknikov,
back it off. Yeah.
Bekanoff, whatever. Yuri. the KGB agent, defected from the KGB, came to America, gave that interview, and that's what he said. He said, it's the Marxist ideology. It's a leftism. Once it gets into your schools and your universities, it's over. You have a generation of people who have seen one side and then convinced the other side, and now they're in the religion, and those people will become politicians. They'll become teachers themselves. They'll become business owners, and they're not going to hire people that won't help the revolution. Help us form our utopia. So he basically told the guy, he said, well, it's already there. Like, you would have to, now to even deal with it, you're going to have to do things that embolden them. If you try to, which is going to happen with the far left here. But at the time, if you're just if the government was cracking down on people for we're just reading literature. This is a political theory. It's Marxist. Like, it's Marxism. Like, you can't do that. And then rightfully so, good American citizens would be like, yeah, you can't stop them from reading books. It's true. Like, the communists will always find the crack in your armor. They're not going to fight fair. They can't fight fair because that's when they killed Charlie Kirk. They couldn't even win a single point in a debate, left versus right. They could not win one single point. And he was showing them the lies that their entire worldview was based on. And communists cannot handle that. They have to have the utopia. It's like bringing heaven on earth, right? I mean, it's like us worshiping God. We know the implications of that. We know how heavy that is. We always know how much better we could do. That's how they feel about their utopia. So they are just as driven as us. The only difference is we have the truth on our side, so we can debate. That reveals the truth. They only have deception. They only
Yeah.
have lies. The opposite of the truth is the lie, right? Um, so their God is based on a lie. Our God is based on the truth. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I think that the fact that our God is truth and their God is deception, which is the perfect way to describe God versus Satan, by the
Hmm.
way.
Yeah.
Um, I think the fact that their God is deception itself, that is why they view all of their actions as the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I've read so much about communism, leftism, their ideology, and I've done a lot of theological work too. So I know that's why I know these contrasts of God, Satan, uh, the current iterations of right and left, or I guess the whole leftist ideology. Um, it's really it really makes sense when you tie together political theory with God and Satan. It
Yeah.
really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing about Satan is you have to cast Satan out. There's no
Yeah, that's a
feeling
good point.
sorry for Satan.
You don't tolerate Satan.
Yeah.
The Bible says all the time not to tolerate Satan.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really till, New Testament that Jesus is very like, yeah, the devil exists.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
me.
It's very
I,
much, he's very, to use a corporate word, transparent with his apostles about the existence of the
yeah,
devil.
I'm being very upfront
Yeah.
about this Satan character. Um,
And I mean, I love, uh, what is it? John Milton's, Paradise Lost. That people, get attached to that portrayal of the devil, but that's still a deception. It's still the devil, you
yeah,
know?
and another thing just kind of hit me. So
John Milton, I
you're
mean, excuse me.
you're not supposed to tolerate the devil at all. You're supposed
Yes.
to cast him out. It's very clear about it. The way America was set up. There is an inherent chink in the armor,
Yep.
and that's the liberalism.
Yep.
Uh, and I'm not saying that's bad. We've created a very unique place where I think it's the only place where you can have a true Christian nation, because that would mean everyone chose to do that. So I think that's the best point. If you're trying to make a true Christian nation where everyone professes to be a Christian and worship God, no one can make us do it, because we have the classic liberalism. But yeah, so I guess that shatters the point I was about to make. I was going to say we could never be. Well, I'll shift my point. It would be, you could make a they've made Christian nations under kings, right? In the Middle Ages, they made, we are a Christian nation. Blasphemy will be punished. You'll be put in the dungeon. But if you made a Christian nation out of America using the foundational constitutional criteria, if you could make that a Christian nation, I think that would be the first true, like, Christian empire-sized nation where everyone just decided to do it. Uh, it's hard to imagine a nation as big and powerful as America has has had a fully voluntary Christian nation without a tyrant, right? I mean, isn't that historically accurate that that's never happened?
To my knowledge,
I
yeah.
think you've
I
had
mean,
tribes.
generally Christians have been pretty persecuted. So
Yeah, that's true too. So yeah, I guess that's the um, silver lining there. We do have an inherent crack in our armor where communists are always welcome to come in and try. Always. We can never make a law that stops them from subverting and stopping our crusade. They will always have access, but we have the potential to create a very strong Christian nation that has done so with steadfast determination and iron will, because we did it with the valve open, where the devil can come in and we can cast him out voluntarily as a nation.
yeah,
That's a pretty cool endeavor, but you can't get there by being mean to homosexuals.
right.
Like,
I mean, going back to Charlie Kirk, there's that clip that's out there now where he does have somebody that's like, "Well, hey, you're a Christian. Why are you letting this happen?" He's like, "Look, like this person is donating to our cause. You know, we want to be open to everyone. Yes, as a person, what they're doing uh,
it's a
doesn't
sin.
matter in that. I guess it doesn't matter from a political standpoint, but being a Christian is being accepting. He used the example of Jesus talked to tax collectors, talked to prostitutes, things like that. And yeah, I mean, you don't. There are a lot of people floating Christian nationalism. Stephen Wolf is a notable one. Um,
Well, it's Nick Fuentes, right? Christian nationalist.
he the grouper thing, I don't have a full 100% grasp on that one. I
Well, that's
know
him,
more.
him himself. Isn't he consider himself a Christian nationalist? He's got
Yes,
to. He's got to.
yeah,
I mean, just
I
listen to what he says. He's got to be.
yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about him overall. Um, but
I typically don't seek his content because I don't
yeah,
think he's got the. I think he's got a lot of. I think he says a lot of things that are obviously true, but culture
right,
hadn't been ready for it, which it's getting really close now, post Charlie Kirk.
right.
But he also has a lot of. I'll give you one example I was thinking of earlier. He talks about, he's big into, like, what's it called, etiology, like how each ethnic group got to where they were and stuff like that. And I think he places too much emphasis on racism.
Mm.
whatever that means. Still haven't figured out what racism is at all times. But he he's so focused on that, and that's a divisive issue that's not necessary.
Yeah.
Now, if you want your hobby to be, I know the inherent differences in each ethnic group, and I know who's better at what, and like have fun with that, but don't make that a main topic because that is divisive by nature. And when you're in a country with white, black, Asian, Latino, you're you're begging to never unite. Even if everyone, especially if we were a nation of high testosterone men, the racism would get really bad because
Oh,
you'll have
one.
pride and you'll defend yourself. And if it's not a highly Christian nation, that turns into a lot of violence.
Yeah. And you're exactly right. Like what does it really matter? And it could change over time. I don't see how that's beneficial to to study that. I forget there was
I'm
some
fine with
social scientist.
studying it, but don't make that the thing that we don't put that in the conversation when we're trying to do good.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry to cut you off. What were you saying?
I know that I'm trying to remember there was a social scientist where he put that forward basically that African Americans were not as intelligent as Caucasians. You know that's the conclusion he came to, and he got obviously got a ton of grief, ton of everything hurled at him.
Big backlash.
Yeah, and that was sort of the question that was posed to him. Was just like, what? How is ultimately how is this beneficial?
I mean, look, I'm not against people studying that. I
Sure.
want to know everything about everything.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess so you can't stop people from studying that. You can't stop them from talking about it. But I think ultimately it's on us to say, "Cool, I don't care."
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be a strong meritocratic American male and someone says, historically black people are better at this, historically white people are better at this, your answer should be, I don't give a shit. I'm trying to make money, bro. Like I'll hire the best person for the job. Leave me alone. I
I'll
don't
try
care about
what
that. I got
was
I employ I got 10 I got 50 employees and 10 of them are black, 15 are white, 15 are Hispanic. Like I don't care about this and don't get us talking about it. It doesn't help.
yeah. I mean it watching Erica Kirk said his favorite word was earn,
Yeah.
and that was really, really powerful to me. I didn't know that. I hadn't seen where he'd said that, but that's really wow.
Well, you don't accomplish what he accomplished unless you really covet work and reward of hard work. He told he told Candace Owens, she was like, "Man, how are we gonna? We're not getting all this donor money that the other team's getting. Like, I don't know how we can do this." He said something along the lines of, we can't always have the same advantages as them, but we can always outwork.
Yeah,
We always had the option to work harder, knock on more doors, stay up later, make more calls, network more. We always had the option to do that. Um, so let's not make excuses about not having donor money or not having political support. Let's outwork them and spread our message because we know that we are the truth. We're for God. We are the truth. If we just speak the truth and outwork them, we can pass them up. And he did it. So he obviously truly coveted hard work and earning everything that he gets. He just, man, just he's a. I think that he's going to be in 50 years viewed as like one of the founding fathers, like the way we view Benjamin Franklin.
yeah,
I think ultimately, assuming we can write our own history, the truth, um, I think he will go down as a great American like Ben Franklin.
I agree.
I really do. But Michael, this was fun, man.
Hey, thank you so much. That's a lot.
I I'm pretty sure when I rewatch this, I'm gonna ask myself, Seth, why did you talk so much? But it helped me a lot because I did have a few epiphanies while talking to you. And that doesn't always happen because you're a podcaster, you know when to let someone talk. That's something I'm trying to get better at myself. But regardless of how I think about myself during this podcast, I enjoyed it a lot. I appreciate you coming on and I man, if you want to get me on your podcast again, let's do it. But I'm definitely going to get you back on mine at some point.
100%. You know, you are somebody that I think is a real good force in the world as well. I'm really grateful to have met you.
You're a good force too, man, and that's why I want to get a bigger platform because I think that good forces need to be heard over the bad forces. I think that's all we got.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, man.
I appreciate you, man. You'll start seeing clips at some point in the next few days.
Awesome.
All right, man. Be good.
You too.